We are in the middle of the season now, and teams are spread out from 0-2, 0-6, to 6-0, and going into week 7 here, it's going to be a pretty close matchup. This is Sports Hour. What's up, everyone? Alexander Thomas here. Welcome back to Sports Hour. We are in week 7 now. It's going to be a very interesting week. Although it's going to be a very close week due to the fact that almost all the games should not be, how I say this, tough at all. We get some really good weeks in this point of this time, but there are a lot of teams that are a very similar record at this point. For example, the NBL South, it's almost all the same record. As of right now, the only teams that are currently undefeated in the NBL still are the Dogs, the Dragons, and the Falcons. They're still undefeated up to this point, and all of them have a pretty good basis to know why they're still undefeated. On the other side, 3 more teams are still undefeated. It's the Werewolves, the Warriors, and the Stars. All 3 of those teams are undefeated up until this point. However, there's still, of course, teams that are not in a position that aren't even close to doing it, getting close to anywhere. Superman and the Lightning are both winless. So are the Cardinals and the Bears. The Legends were able to win this last week when they played against the Cardinals, and that does mean something good for them at this point in time. Let's go take a look at last week. Last week, it was a pretty balanced. We had some teams that went in the wrong way. I got every single one of the games right. Lucky me, in this case. But at this point, there was one thing about this. The Dragons and Pirates. The Pirates did not score a single point. They had very low injuries and all that, but unfortunately, that's not the only thing. One of the teams that lost was the Indians, and partly though because they are actually losing 3 of their players going into the week because of the stats that they got suspended for that game because of a fight. Let's go ahead and get into week 7. This is going to be a pretty close week. We got the Knights and the Beagles. It's a pretty close matchup between these 2 teams. The Knights are favored by 1. At this point, it's difficult for me to say that there's going to be a difference. I'm picking the Knights in this game because the context that they do seem like they still have a better chance of winning this game. But I can see this game going pretty high up there. the UNC and the Tigers, not a close game. Should be the Tigers all the way. I'm picking the Tigers to win this game. The Packers, the Pirates, and the Lightning. Lightning and Pirates are favored by a lot, and I think honestly they're going to be favored by a lot more than that. I'm betting the Pirates to win here. We got the Panthers and the Ravens. Panthers favored by 30. Same for me. I said the Panthers are going to win this game. The tough game will be the Dogs and the Huskies. They're going to play at 11 o'clock on Monday. And right now, that's going to be pretty tough for me. I like this game, this matchup. It's not the game of the week. I'll get to the game of the week in a second here. I'm going to go with the Dogs winning this game because I do think the Dogs will win this game going into the point that they have one of the best record positions at the given time. Texans Stars. Stars are undefeated. They're going to stay undefeated. We got the Bobcats and the Foxes. At some point, there's sometimes I think differently, and I do think differently in this game because honestly, I do think that both these teams are very well balanced. I'm gonna go with the Bobcats in this game. I do think the Foxes have a good chance of winning this game, though. Man. We got the Colts and the Hawks. Colts are favored by a lot. And to be honest, I will have to agree in this case, but I do think the Hawks are going to put up a lot better fights like they did better last week. We have the Dolphins and the Browns. Tough game. Browns are favored by 30, 20, thinking they're going to stay that way, so it's going to be up there. Warriors and Falcons, they will have one less undefeated team after this week, with the Warriors and Falcons facing off against each other. I'm going to have to say I think it's going to be the Warriors that win this game. Lynx and the Saints. Lynx are favored by hits. I'm actually going to go with the Saints winning this game. They got demolished this last week, but I think they're going to go win this. They're going to win this one. Going up a lot better in this case. Bulldogs and the Otters. Otters all the way. There's just no position that they're going to have any better chance at that time. Packers and Lions. It's a tough one, and I think that's a divisional game. Yeah, they're in the divisional game. They're pretty close in the matchup on that regard. So I'm going to say this is a tough one. I'm going to give the Lions the win here. I do think that the Lions are going to be a little bit better when it comes to the Packers, and the Packers are going to struggle, and they're going to lose this game overall. Giants and Angels. It's going to be the Giants that win this game. It's too much. It's too much for the Angels to go up too well of that one. We have the Supermen and the Cardinals. One of these teams will be back to the point of not being undefeated anymore. I'm going to give the win to I'm going to go with the Cardinals winning this game. It's something the Supermen have a good balance and basis of it, so I'm going to go with them winning this game. We got the Browns, Bears, and Athens. I think the Athens are showing up a lot more that they're going to win this game. We have the Leland Cats and the Indians, both of them pretty close knit. Leland Cats Indians are favored by 1. I'm all going to go with the Cats, though. I'm going to go with everyone in this case, because this one does look like to me the Indians are going to win this game. And if it went overtime, if it doesn't go to overtime, it's not going to happen. Dragons and Jets, it's still going to be the Dragons, undefeated at this point. Another undefeated game, the Werewolves and the Kings. It's going to be the Werewolves. The Kings just don't have enough. And on Monday at 3, Legends and the Chargers, even though the Legends won this last week, they're not winning this week. Now we get to go ahead and talk about the teams that had suspensions this week. They had 2 teams that had suspensions. Starting off with the Indians. Indians had 3 suspensions because all those players got into a fight. One of those players who was in the fight, Andrew Miller, got lucky away, didn't get suspended, but probably won't be playing this next game. The other game that happened, where there was a fight, or actually not a fight, but there was a suspension, was the Saints. The Saints had a suspension from Donald Washington. He is going to be suspended for several games at this given time. Right now, if we get it right here, B were all suspended for 5 games. So hopefully they get something better for this one, because that's going to get. Donald Washington was only suspended for 1 game. He just happened to throw a punch, so he's just going to be not playing in this one here. Everyone else did pretty much not have any suspensions whatsoever. And I will say this, that was the only reason that the Athens were able to come back and win this game. Because the Athens had no problems, they didn't make any decisions, they didn't do anything like that. And I was given knowledge that Andrew was benched for this, it's currently benched, so we'll see what happens in that game. No injuries so far. That is it for Sports Hour for this week. It's going to be an interesting one. If the playoffs were to occur today, this is really going to be interesting for all of these. The playoffs occurring today shows that the teams, Dragons, Dogs, and Falcons, who are all currently undefeated, would make it to the playoffs in number 1, 2 seed. Right. The Giants, all the way down to the bottom here, are 3-3. Currently have the lead by 3 points. Would currently be the number 4 seed. The Panthers, the Indians, the Browns, and the Knights will all make it to the playoffs as a 5th, 6th, and 7th, and 8th seed at this current time. On the other side, the Stars, the Warriors, and Werewolves, and the Warriors would all make it, and the Colts would make it in as well. That they're the biggest and best teams right now at the given time. The Huskies, the Leland Cats, the Otters, and the Packers would all make the playoffs, even though the Otters and Packers have the same record at this given time, and they're in the same division. That is it for this week. We will see you guys in the next week for week 8, where there's going to be some good. Oh, wait. One thing more to note, that the game of the week is not super surprising. The game of the week, which isn't super surprising, but it's not unreasonable. This is the game of the week at the current time. That's all for the Sports Hour. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next video. Don't forget to keep your game on, and we'll see you back in week 8.